When people are very obsessively focused on race and they're resentful and angry and they feel guilt and suspicion and all that stuff based on race, they're much easier to manipulate. And that's why they do it. That's why these race hustlers do it in the DEI world. That's why Democrat politicians do it. We have the DEI presidential candidate right now in Kamala Harris, and this is what she stands for. She is the kind of mascot for all this stuff.
Well, is she the mascot because she's a black woman?
So I gotta admit, I'm not the biggest Daily Wire fan anymore. I originally appreciated their attempt at building culture related to the things that I enjoyed. They hired Gina Carano, but about the time they went through the whole Steven Crowder, Candace Owens controversy, I went ahead and canceled my subscription. So I gotta admit, I haven't seen Matt Walsh's new movie, Am I Racist, yet, but I'm looking forward to watching it somehow, some way. And I gotta admit, I'm still a big fan of Matt Walsh. I believe he's the ultimate troll, and he does make the best movies coming out of the Daily Wire. And then I'm also a fan of Michael Knowles. And in this one, we're gonna have a look at Chris Cuomo going head-to-head with Matt Walsh over, culture stuff. So let's have a look.
Walsh then decides to go undercover. Joins us now. Thank you for taking the opportunity.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Matt, what do you hope to achieve with this film?
Well, this is our exploration of the DEI so-called anti-racist hustle, the scam. And so we want to expose these con artists for what they are, the people that are pushing this stuff. But we want to do it, comedically with humor. We want to do it in an entertaining way, which is why as you covered, I go on my own journey of racial awakening, and I listen to these people. I listen to what they say. I try to put their teachings into practice in the film. I let them guide me down the rabbit hole so that the viewer can see by the end of the film where it leads. And it leads to some pretty wild and demented places, frankly. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but we take the path where they lead us.
So let's figure out for you what the line is, because I'm sure that diversity, equity, inclusion, these are not bad words for you. So what is the line to where you believe those honorable concepts become something different?
When it's all based in left-wing racial ideology, which these days, I mean, sure, there's a way that you could use the word diversity that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Inclusion doesn't necessarily, there are ways you can include people. That's obviously not bad. But when these terms are used and when it's put together, DEI, it always means left-wing racial ideology. What is left-wing racial ideology? Well, to sum it up in the most simple way possible, it's the idea that white people are inherently racist, inherently bad, and that nobody who is not white can be racist, and that white people are the author of all the oppression and suffering in the world. That's the belief, and every single one of these DEI people, that is absolutely what they believe. I'm not simplifying it at all. That is what they believe, and if it's grounded in that, then it's evil, it's wrong.
What conclusion do you draw, and maybe you just told us there in the end of that last sentence, but build it out, expound a little for us. What is your conclusion about why the people that you encountered do what you call evil?
Because there's a lot of money in it, and we explore that in the film. In fact, we pay these race hustlers, Robin DiAngelo and others, to be in the film. We put their price tag on the screen because it's part of part of the scam. So there's money in it. There's also influence. There's power. There's political advantages. Listen, when people are very obsessively focused on race and they're resentful and angry and they feel guilt and suspicion and all that stuff based on race, they're much easier to manipulate. And that's why they do it. That's why these race hustlers do it in the DEI world. That's why Democrat politicians do it. We have the DEI presidential candidate right now in Kamala Harris, and this is what she stands for. She is the kind of mascot for all this stuff.
Well, is she the mascot because she's a black woman, or do you believe that her politics are using these concepts unfairly? When you say mascot, what do you mean?
Well, it's the policies, but the real reason is that she was put in her position because she's a black woman, and that's not me saying that. I mean, that's Joe Biden said that. Joe Biden said that he was going to, when he was looking for a vice president candidate, he was going to look for a black woman, and he ruled out all other demographics ahead of time and only focused on this demographic. That's DEI. That's what DEI is. That's judging people based on the color of their skin, excluding people.
I believe he only said woman, and he wound up picking a black woman. But he did say he was going to pick a woman, and you can argue that did close off any choice of having a man there, unless it was a man that decided to identify as a woman. But you don't believe that the policy should matter more than the personage of the candidate, right? It's not what she is that is your issue, it's how she is.
Right, that's what we're saying. Those of us who are anti-DEI, our whole point is that what matters is the policies, what matters is the merit of the person. It's when you're in the DEI world, that's where you're dividing people based on race. Okay, you get this because this is your race, you're included because it's your race. No, we don't want you because you're the wrong race. That's the DEI. That's exactly what this film, that's the attitude this film is meant to expose.
So here's what Chris Cuomo was talking about when he said, I believe Joe Biden claimed that he was only going to pick a woman, which Joe Biden spoke multiple times, and he cherry-picked this clip right here.
I committed that if I'm elected president, have an opportunity to appoint someone to the courts, I'll appoint the first black woman to the courts. It's required that they have representation now. It's long overdue. Secondly, if I'm elected president, my cabinet, my administration will look like the country. And I commit that I will, in fact, I'll pick a woman to be vice president. There are a number of women who are qualified to be president tomorrow. I would pick a woman to be my vice president.
And you'll notice that he still said that he was going to pick a black woman to be in the Supreme Court. But let me show you this.
Most African Americans that I've talked to on a daily basis are very concerned that, black women in particular have been the heartbeat of the Democratic Party for a long time, really shored you up in places like South Carolina. Are you committed to naming a black woman as your vice presidential running mate?
I am not committed to naming any but the people I've named, and among them there are 4 black women. So that decision is underway right now. And by the way, black women have supported me my entire career. You all act like all of a sudden there was an epiphany in South Carolina. I have had over a 96%, 94% rating in the state with the 8th largest black community in the United States of America, Delaware. And so they're the ones, as that old saying goes, that brought me to the dance. I have been loyal. They have been loyal to me. And so it is important that my administration, I promise you, will look like America, both as from vice president to Supreme Court to cabinet positions to every major position in the White House. It's going to look like America. It's critically important that be the case. I can guarantee you that.
Have you narrowed down your choices?
Well, I'll tell you what's happening. We're getting the detailed analysis that is done. I've been through one of these vets, as they say. It takes about 6 weeks, and you go into everything. It's like having a public physical examination. That is just being finished. I'm having a 2-hour vetting report from the lawyers and women and men of color, as well as white folks who are doing the vetting. We've gone through about 4 candidates so far in the 2-hour vetting, and then when I get all the vetting done of all the candidates, then I'm going to narrow the list, and then we'll see. And then I'm going to have personal discussions with each of the candidates who are left.
All right, well,
and make a decision.
So as Joe Biden said right there in the end, they had narrowed it down to 4 people, and he said in the beginning there were 4 women of color that were being considered, so I'll let you do the math on who they were. He later went on to claim that he is actually the first black woman to serve with a black president in his latest gaffe. Which you guys seen that. I'm just playing. I just added that in for fun. But in light of the Daily Wire's latest controversy involving Brett Cooper possibly being replaced with her best friend of all people, I'm curious what you guys think about the Daily Wire nowadays. Are they kind of falling out of favor, Or am I just kind of the outlier that's been turned off to everything that I've seen over there lately? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And with that, I'm pleased to announce that we're now adding Mondays into the rotation for the Jar Openers podcast, where I go live on this channel. You can now find it Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I'd love to see you guys over there. We try to cover all of the daily news, and with so much news going on, we just had to add the extra day, and it's growing, and we're having a lot of fun. Also, click the link down in the description to join our Discord. But if I don't catch you in a live, if I don't see you in the Discord, be on the lookout for the next video. You're not going to want to miss it.